Happy Tuesday, everybody. It's Josh here, drinking champagne, episode 6. Andrew Champagne here with me. And we got a fun little show for you today. Andrew, as usual, is the idea machine here. And he found the sequence to look at tomorrow. He's got the on the wrong lead shirt and he's showing off
One
here.
of us got the message about the dress code.
Oh man, I basically have a mountain full of laundry right now because I'm going on vacation on Thursday. I'll be flying into Vegas Thursday morning, and have a just a weekend of just food and gambling degeneracy,
Okay, you have
and
an
alcohol
assignment.
lined up
You have
as
an
well.
assignment.
Yeah.
I don't care what happens. I don't care what you do. You need to make sure there is some money left for my father and I to win next week when we go for Thanksgiving weekend and our birthdays. Can you do that? Can you make
You
sure the city, and there is at least one casino in that city, is still standing? Can you do that for me?
Yeah, that'll definitely happen. I'm sure I will
Okay,
make a
good.
healthy deposit. Make a healthy deposit for you.
What a
The
guy.
other
What
thing
a
is that I think that might be like the greatest idea in the history of ideas going on Thanksgiving, and I'm very jealous for going that weekend. That you're going that
Well,
weekend.
it's not entirely just Thanksgiving weekend. Ever since I moved out west, which was, God, 9 years ago last month, that was a long time ago, we do two Vegas trips a year. Once for the first week of the basketball tournament in March, and once over Thanksgiving weekend or the weekend after for both of our birthdays. In addition to Thanksgiving, mine is November 25th, his is December 3rd. So it actually works out really, really well. And this year, my birthday is on Sports Palooza on Black Friday because, in addition to football on Thanksgiving and Thanksgiving weekend, both pro and college, in addition to basketball, both pro and college, there's this little soccer tournament over on the other side of the world. And on that particular day, the United States is playing England in a rematch of the Battle of Yorktown. So that'll be a lot of fun. And I know there's going to be a lot of amateurs out on the Vegas Strip that will make for some fantastic people watching during those couple of days.
I got a little hot take alert here.
Oh,
The
here we go.
United States is not going to make it out of the group stages.
I wouldn't be shocked. I don't know very much about soccer. I'll preface this right here, but England's pretty good. Wales has some good players. It wouldn't stun me.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. We well, not to get political here, but
We don't
it's
want to
going to
do
be a
that. We don't
shit
want to
show.
do
It's
that.
going to be a shit show, and I just hope everything goes without incident. All right,
Yeah.
let's just put it
Amen.
that way.
Amen.
Yeah, it's gonna be a crazy couple of weeks now. The NFL is starting to heat up. I feel like there's been a lot of real fun games to watch now with the NFL. Obviously, college basketball is getting started. I know no one's here to hear about my bad beats or anything, but I did live bet Louisville plus 500, and they had a layup at the buzzer that went in, but apparently it was called off. That would have won me that plus 500 bet. So
Oof.
yeah, I think the hot streak may be over. I think
I don't know.
the hot streak that started a couple of weeks ago with that pick 6 hit, I think it might be over. But
Point of order, though. Point of order. We got that hot streak started when it was my idea to look at a Wednesday sequence in Kentucky. This show, we're looking at what, Josh?
one day sequence in Kentucky.
Then keep the positive vibes going. And
All
also,
right.
don't say anything about a hot streak ending right before you go to Vegas. That's the kiss of death. You become a mush, and you do not want to be a mush in a casino. Just no.
Absolutely not. When is March Madness this year? Do you know the dates?
It's between February and April.
Goodness.
You can
Um,
boo me. I don't care. Come on.
all right. Well, where's the? Oh God, dude, I feel like it's been forever since I've done this because I don't know where the buttons are. My desk setup is new too. I'm sure if you're watching the stream, the background looks the same, but I did buy a new desk, so I actually have room before my desk, and part of that is because when you get rid of a desk, you got to clean up the desk. So I think that's most of the reason I have room now. But I bought a desk that's probably about 1.5 times the size of my old desk. It's also a
So
standing desk, so
I
which is
am
nice.
very grateful for my girlfriend and her family because when I moved, my move in present was the desk that my computer is currently sitting on. Not only that, they were able to get it, come into my apartment, and put it together when I was in Saratoga. I didn't have to do anything. Love my
Nice.
girlfriend and her family very, very, very much.
Had you moved by then already? You'd already moved
Yes,
into the
it
new
was
place?
it
Oh,
was
nice.
right before. I moved in early August and then the next week I went to Saratoga for a week. It's just the way that it worked out. There's still some stuff that I need to unpack 3 months later because of it. But no, it worked out great. Love this desk very very much. Got a nice background behind me. The only thing is I constantly fuss about the picture over that shoulder over there being as straight as I can get it. That looks just fine. So I'm a happy camper.
So the reason I asked about March Madness is because I'm planning on going to Vegas in March.
Okay.
Um the plan right now is if I have a couple of friends who qualify for NHC, I think I will go that, which I believe is the weekend before. I think it's like the 10th through the 12th. So
Yes,
I'll
that
probably
is the
go the
weekend before. I'm just looking at this now. The basketball tournament starts with the play-in games on March 14th, which is the Tuesday. So, in addition to the first rounds of the NCAA basketball tournament, when I go, it's probably going to be St. Patrick's Day, amateur hour. If you
yeah.
ever want to people watch folks that have absolutely no idea where they're going, no idea how to hold their liquor, go out towards the link at any point during St. Patrick's Day. You'll see a whole bunch of overgrown frat bros drinking green beer that costs about $28. It's an experience unlike any other, Josh.
Andrew, unfortunately, there is a chance if NHC falls through, I may try to make it up for NCAA weekend, and I may be one of those guys that you see stumbling around drinking green
If
beer.
that happens, we're doing an emergency live broadcast from the Vegas Strip. I don't know how we're going to stream it. I can't guarantee the quality of said stream, but I can guarantee that it will be wildly entertaining and provide incentives for people to like, comment, and subscribe, which, by the way, you should absolutely do if you are new to this channel. On the Wrong Lead is 6 subscribers shy of 1,000 as of this recording. Get us to 4 figures, people.
Yeah, I would appreciate it. It would help us out. I think it opens up some extra options when we live stream for us too. So, we definitely would appreciate getting up there. Um, but there was something else I was going to Andrew, and I just completely blanked now. So why don't we? I think it's a good time to move forward here. Actually, real I will show my. I'm going beer today, and you'll appreciate this, Andrew. This beer is called Ray Gordo, and it's got a luchador mask on it. This a brewery called Cruz Blanca, based in Chicago. They used to be owned by a gentleman named Rick Bayless, who was a he's kind of a celebrity chef. Like he's not like the type of like person who had a show. Well, yeah, he had Mexico one plate at a time. They ran it on PBS here, so like we're not talking like Food Network or anything. But he did win the first season of Top Chef Masters. If you're a fan of Top Chef, he has a Michelin star rated restaurant in Chicago, which I've eaten at. It's probably the best meal I've ever had in my entire life. And he has a lot of he's very big on educating the public on Mexican food, that it's not just tacos basically. So his show was always really really interesting. He's got great cookbooks and stuff. But anyways, he had this idea to make a small brewery and taco shop, right? Taqueria. So he literally the place is this small place in the west side of Chicago. I think it's in Fulton. It's in Fulton Market, and great Mexican food. And they started releasing this award-winning beer called Rey Gordo, and then now they have what they call the Luchador series. So every single
Ooh,
one of their barrel aged beers is named has got like a wrestling name and has got a luchador mask on it, which is really cool. But
that's
Rick
pretty
Bayless,
fantastic.
unfortunately, Rick Bayless has since divested himself. I think the company wanted to get bigger than he was like comfortable with because I think he's probably got more money than he knows what to do with at this point. So he's no longer involved, but they still make great beer. They still make great Mexican food. So if you're ever in Chicago, that's definitely a place I'd recommend checking out. It's called Cruz Blanca
You
on the
said it
west
was on the
side.
west side of Chicago.
Yeah, on the
Time for
west
an
loop, not
ultra
west
top.
west side.
Time for an ultra topical reference. It's a good thing it's not on the south side of Chicago because that's the baddest part of town. And if you go down there, you better just beware of a man named Leroy Brown. And if you enjoyed that reference, you're watching the correct show. All right, let's talk
Oh
Big Four.
God.
This is going to be fun. I like this sequence a lot.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and let's just jump in here to race one or race seven, race one of the sequence. We're gonna be going 6.5 furlongs on the dirt. This is all dirt racing here. Churchill Downs, I believe, still does not know how to
The
grow
turf
turf.
condition is frost.
Did they run the Claiming Crown? Did they run any of those races on turf over the
No,
weekend?
and as it turned out, it had nothing to do with their inability to grow grass. It snowed in Kentucky, so all of the races were run on a sloppy main track for Claiming Crown Day.
Interesting. Um, yeah, so I have a lone A in this race, and
Oh,
I have a lone A. I have a B. I do have a B in this race. I'm also going to use, but my lone A. This is if you watch what's known as a three cherry horse here. If my little pencil will work here, you got the E, you got the 8, you get Ray Gutierrez aboard, you got Grease. Unfortunately, times have changed because back when I was in college, the saying was D's get degrees because D's still counted towards your degree. Unfortunate, well, in your non-major, right? And I happen to get D's in religion, so. But C's get degrees here for Jonathan Wong and Ray Gutierrez. This looks to be your speed of the speed, inside drawn. You get Ray Lu aboard, who is always an aggressive rider. And although there's a couple other speed horses in here, the three cold as hell, who I've written as a B, is also very fast early, and I kind of have him as a backup in case Louis Saez gets out of the gate better and gets the lead. I just want who's going to get to the front in this race. 6.5 furlongs on the speed ring Churchill dirt. I'm basically going to be mostly through the one based off the pace. Also, just based off the fact that this horse is coming in nice form. It's got two firsts and a second in his last three races. Has won at tracks like Del Mar and Keeneland. His loss was at Golden Gate on the all weather. So kind of throw that out. And the horse has just progressively been moving up the class ladder. So this is a type of improving horse that I like to bet. 4 years old, does have 18 starts, but it's got 3 wins, 3 seconds, and has got 5 thirds here. So the horse likes to be competitive. I think this horse fits perfectly in this race. 3-1 on the morning line. This will be my single A. These get degrees. Where'd you
so
go,
I'm going to
Andrew?
have a little bit of fun here. We mentioned on this program at least once that jockey Relu Gutierrez is one of maybe 5 alums of the State University of New York at Cortland that I like. Shout out to the Ithaca College football team for thumping the Cortland State Red Dragons 34-17 in front of 40,000 people at Yankee Stadium on Saturday. Ended a perfect regular season for the Bombers. They now move on to the Division III playoffs. And anytime I can get in a Cortland jab, I will always do that. Newsflash, their mascot, the Red Dragons. Dragons are not real. Kidding aside, I like C's get degrees in this spot. Not enough to consider this one a lone A, but certainly would not be a shock and is certainly a horse that I would need to have on my tickets. In a race where a lot of horses are these. A lot of horses that don't like to win. C's
For
get
those of you
degrees of
listening, Andrew just held up a clothes hanger.
yes. That I before the show I had to go and get a prop. Those of you that watched Champagne and JD will know that I trotted out the hanger every once in a while when we discussed those horses. Having said that, I think there's another horse in this race that could very well factor into the early pace situation and benefit from being a fast horse that doesn't necessarily need the lead. Let's take a look at number 6, Mumayez. I really hope I'm saying that right. It sounds correct. Last couple of starts have been on turf. He has not run badly, and last time out ran into a very fast horse by the name of Coffee Maker, who went 5.5 furlongs and 102-1 over that Keeneland turf course. Coffee Maker was a runner that Wesley Ward had very high hopes for a couple of years ago. I believe was on the Royal Ascot contingent. That's a nice horse. And Mamaez wound up hanging on to run third that day. Go back to a couple of his dirt races from the summer at Churchill Downs. Looking at those early fractions, you see 22-1, 45, 45-1. What's to say Mamaez isn't quick enough to make the lead in a race that doesn't have a ton of early speed signed on? I like the outside draw. I like turf to dirt. I think this is a little bit of a class drop out of a loaded allowance race. Is a 3-year-old going up against older, but I think we're going to get a little bit of a price on a horse that has the ability to run very well in this spot. I'm 1-6 in here. We both agree that number 5, Pledge of Allegiance, the 5-2 morning line favorite, hits me as pretty vulnerable. That last out race to me totally fell apart. You see 45-2 for the half, and then you see 110-1 for 6 furlongs. They came home walking, and that set things up for this closer to pick up the pieces. That was a non-winners of 2 life claiming event. Yes, Steve Asmussen claimed that one. We know Steve Asmussen does very well off the claim, but this is a runner that has struggled against starter allowance competition, picking up underneath awards, and I just don't think this is a horse that wants to win at this level. If that horse is favored, to me, that's an underlay. 1-6 for me in the first leg of the late pick 4.
Yeah, and part of the reason why I think you mentioned it here with the 5, the reason that the 3 didn't become a solid A for me is kind of the same reason, the same issues you see with the 5, right? This horse has been in allowance 50,000 company for what seems to be, I don't know, longer than certain. There's the hanger again. Longer than the Prime Minister of the UK was in office, right? I think
Well,
that
that
joke.
the
I think
Prime
now,
Minister of the UK was in office, what, 2 months?
yeah, there you go. But
For longer than Flightline's career. How's that sound?
yeah, but like on my PPs, that doesn't have a win in the last 10 starts. So um, kind of hard to back a horse at a short price there. But if I kind of feel like if you like the 1, you kind of gotta like the 3 a little bit at least here. I agree with you with the 5 though. No interest. I know it goes into Steve's barn, but it doesn't gets Keith Asmussen aboard, not a different jock. So that kind of turns me off a little bit. I might have to take your 6. You made some good points there. But I don't know. I feel pretty good with this one going through this leg. Getting me past here.
Yeah, the 1 hits me as the horse to beat in that race for sure. Jonathan Wong, when he gets horses going on the right track, they tend to stay there. I think the 1's going to be pretty tough in there. The 6, though, is intriguing, and we might get a little bit of a price in this field of 7. Now, this one I'm looking forward to talking about. You got a 2-year-old maiden race with a bunch of first time starters. This is the kind of race that I think every handicapper enjoys sinking their teeth into.
Yeah. Race 8, 6 furlongs, maiden 120K here, and you get a pretty good field here. Real interesting field. You get 10 horses in this race. Once again, we're sprinting. We're going 6 furlongs for 2-year-old fillies. Um, I see you went 4 wide here. I went 2 wide, and we have the same horse. We're the 2 horses I have are shared in your 4. So I guess I'll just go first again, real quick. My top pick in this race, I really wanted to make a single A. And I may still opinion, is the 2 Moment to Shine. Look, my love for Larry Ravelli has no bounds. The
Ravelli,
Arlington.
I'll bet Ravelli. Hi, Ed DeRosa. How you doing?
uh, so Larry Ravelli and Jareth Loveberry, who was kind of Ravelli's go-to jock at Arlington for the last couple years after Jose Valdivia Jr. moved to out west to Santa Anita. Um, And you get these aboard. You get Patricia's Hope, who is Larry Rivelli's main patron. So these are very, very strong connections. You get Bolt Doro, who's hitting at 19% first time starters. You also got Spitestown on the bottom, who also loves to win early. And this horse is sprinting, which is another thing that these Spitestowns love to do. $290,000 purchase, but we all know that no one likes to hear about the sales. Hello, Caitlin Free. And yeah, I mean, I think that they think very, very highly of this horse. This horse was firing bullets at Hawthorne with those 12s, 48 and 4, 5 in 1 minute, 5 in 1 minute. And then kind of had some more relaxing works, and it ships down here to Churchill Downs. And I think this is a very well meant horse. You get 9-2 on the morning line. Uh, Larry doesn't really ship horses to the big tracks unless he knows he's got a live one. So now I know um, with Arlington no longer, and with Hawthorne, I think Hawthorne might be done. I forget, they have a weird meet, well, because they run harness too, but and even if Hawthorne's running right now, I mean, I think that's an even bigger reason to look at this too. He's shipping down for the bigger purse. So this is kind of my 1A, I guess you would say. The other A I did use was the 9 horse Dazzling Blue. Brad Cox, Laurent Giroux at Churchill, first time starter. You got Into Mischief on top. I mean, this is just what he does, right? These are the types of races he wins. He wins at 24% here for a reason. All the stats look good. First time starter, debuting a maiden special weight, riding with flow. I will say that like I said, I prefer the two. The two is a little bit better of a price, but I'm not going to let a Brad Cox flow horse first time starter beat me, especially one that's been working the way this one has. Fired a bullet last out or two back, 59 going 5 furlongs. Came back with another relaxed work. I think this is another horse that's going to be primed. I wasn't interested at all at any of the horses that have run already. I know that like the 8 Flying Bessie here for Steve Asmussen. I mean, he started this horse at Colonial. Like, how many horses did he ship to Colonial? Like, uh, I don't think he thinks much of this horse, the way this horse has been campaigned so far. So I'm just going to be 2-9 here. Andrew, I know I bashed your 8, which you did use a little bit, but why did you like this 8?
Sure. So, first of all, I think you've got the two right A horses. Moment to Shine, very briefly, has a world class pedigree, especially for both turf and tracks that sometimes play a little bit turfy. Churchill Downs main track can often play kindly to horses that seem to look like turf horses. They'll get the main track at Churchill if they can get dirt anywhere. Moment to Shine's second dam was a stakes winning turf router, but that one is a half sister to a horse named Stormy Liberal, who won the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint twice, and also a half to a multiple graded stakes winning turf sprinter named Leinster. I think Moment to Shine has a lot of things to like. The one thing that does concern me a little bit, and again, I like Hawthorne's product very, very much. There are times when Hawthorne form doesn't necessarily ship to other tracks. So take that into account just a little bit. Having said that, that would be a much bigger problem to me if Moment to Shine was going to be 9-5 or 2-1. This horse is 9-2 on the morning line, and I think you're going to get most of that. So you are going to get your price on a first time starter that I think is well meant. But going back to Flying Bessie, I love when a Steve Asmussen horse has the kind of work tab that Flying Bessie has. The work two back was a bullet. The most recent work, total maintenance drill. To me, over the years, that always hits me as Steve Asmussen having a horse right where he wants them to be. I had the same question you had with regard to Colonial Downs. I like the way this horse ran that day, though. It takes a lot of potential for a horse to rate at first asking. A lot of 2-year-old races over the summer months are won in wire to wire fashion. Horses don't necessarily have the maturity yet to rate, sit behind horses, and make one big run. This one, though, made up a fair amount of ground. I think there is some potential here, and I will be using that one on my tickets. The other one that I'm going to throw in is number one Corner Kick from the Sherry DeVoe barn. This is a horse that may well need a race. Sherry DeVoe's runners sometimes need a race to get going. The first out numbers, for you, they're better than for me. I've got her at 8% over the last 62 runners. You've got her at 13% over the last 101. I like the work tab, and I like the presence of Luis Saez. Saez almost certainly had options in this race, and he winds up coming here. To me, that's noteworthy. And per the daily racing form over the last couple of years, they've hit at a 21% clip together over their last 39 starts. So when Saez hops aboard a runner from this barn, chances are they're pretty well meant. The pedigree, though, does indicate this one might want a little bit longer, but I just couldn't let this horse beat me. It's a 2x4 horse for me. I've thrown around that concept before. This is a horse that may well wind up drifting up a little bit. And if this one pays $30 and I don't have it, Josh, I'll be very, very upset with myself. So for me, it's 1, 2, 8, 9 in race number 8. I do think Moment to Shine, though, is a very interesting prospect. Looking forward to seeing that one in the post parade.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is a horse that that Larry runs on the dirt, maybe goes to Turfway and runs in like a allowance or stakes race there over the winter, and then he puts it on turf, and tries sprinting, or if it doesn't go to Turfway, sends it down the Gulfstream because he does send horses down the Gulfstream and puts
Yep.
right on the turf to try some turf sprints. He's had some nice ones. Well Abled a couple years ago was a nice one. And then we also had One Timer that ran not this year but last year in the juvenile turf sprint. Won a nice race at Santa Anita to kind of get in there. So he's had some good ones. So we'll see where that horse kind of ends up. Moving right. We got
Okay,
on the
this one's going to be fun. People, if you like handicappers who disagree, listen very, very closely because you're going to love, and I mean love, this segment.
All right. Race 9. We're going to be going a mile, one turn mile here. Allowance race, $127,000 here up for grabs. Fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up, which have never won a race other than maiden, claiming, or starter, or which have never won 2 races. So it's the 3-year-old fillies here. And your favorite's going to be the 2, Casa de Goat, for Brad Cox and Florent Giroux. And Andrew, I do see that you do have this one. So why don't I let you go first since I've gone first the first times? What do you like race 9?
Look at the debut that this horse had at Keeneland, going that about 7 furlong distance out of the Beard course. You see a horse that won by 12 lengths, earned a very nice speed figure using whatever speed figures you use. I've got an 81 Beyer speed figure. I'm seeing a Briz speed figure of 88. This is a horse that had a lot of potential. They sent this one 2 turns, first time against winners, set the pace. And to me, it is just very clear that something went wrong with this horse midway through that race. To me, that's a throwout. I look at the workouts. I see that work tab that I really, really like. The 2-bag bullet, the most recent maintenance drill. I think Casa de Goat is a pretty serious prospect coming back to one turn after several months of training for Brad Cox. Florent Giroux sees fit to ride. To me, it seems like a wire-to-wire threat. The only other horse that I want any part of on this ticket is a horse that loves Churchill Downs, and that's number 4, Pistol. To me, the last out effort at Indiana Grand, or Horseshoe Indianapolis, I should say. I have not done that a lot. I haven't slipped up as far as the track names go, but at Horseshoe Indianapolis, shout out Racing Rachel, to me, that's a throwout. Horse didn't like the surface. Only look at the Churchill Downs races, and you're left with a horse that has won twice in 3 local starts with a second. And if that horse repeats the 2-back effort where she won by 6.5 lengths, albeit against probably a weaker group, but against a field of multiple winners, that was a starter allowance race. Doesn't this horse merit a really long look at the likely price? To me, this is 2-4, And I just can't go a heck of a lot deeper than that. And this is, again, where you're really going to want to listen closely because Josh and I have combined to watch a lot of races. And whenever you have two handicappers that have seen a lot, read the form, and wind up on completely different horses, that's the best part of this game.
And at least one of us does know the what a horse's rear end looks like.
Yeah,
So
thank you for that, by the way, to the person that took great pride in bashing me, who, by the way, I know is secretly watching this because that's what haters do.
yeah, you know, I guess I took a much more um not cautious, I'm more suspicious of this too. That last race, I know it was in May. I know, like you said, you think something went wrong. Um, I don't know. I'm just more suspicious of that race, and I have a harder time taking a real short price coming back. I know one turn is where this horse excelled that first time out, but at a short price, I'll let this horse beat me. You made great points. I mean, this horse has got that Brad Cox work tab. This horse is probably primed and ready to go. But I'm gonna hope the horse lost a little bit of a step there and go elsewhere here. The two horses that I liked, I had kind of marked down as A's. I have the 6 and the 7. So Sunny Isle Beach and Braganza as my two A's in this race. I'm gonna go to my top pick, which is the 7 Braganza here. Very similar, I think, to what we saw with with your Brad Cox horse. Won by 12 lengths at Churchill, very impressively. Comes back, and the doors kind of fall off here. I'm getting a better price on this horse, and I'm getting this horse coming back much sooner. Now, I will say the work tab does, if you're somebody who looks at works intently, doesn't look great. Looks like this horse has just kind of been doing maintenance stuff and actually hasn't worked since that last race. But
That was
what
my big problem. Yeah, the lack of a work since that last race. To me, that's the red flag here. But that was also the last horse I threw out in that particular race. I see where you're going for sure.
And so I this is kind of like the first step to me looking at a race. And mind you, you get a couple of scratches, the pace scenario completely changes. My opinion in this race completely changes. I think if you get this, if the 4 scratches, if the 3 scratches, um, if the one, maybe even if the 1 scratches, my opinion on this race completely changes, right? Because I'm looking at this from a pace first. Um, I'm looking at the Brisnet form. You got a couple of E6s. You got an E8. You got an EP6 here, and you got an EP5. That to me tells me you got horses that are going to be vying for the lead. You might get a little bit of a hotter pace with this race. And if you kind of look at the way that I've highlighted the form, sorry for people watching on the podcast, but basically all you're left with are the 6 and the 7 here as kind of your off the pace runners here. Um, so Braganza, I think, is the best of the two, lightly raced, which is something I like to see in these N1X races. I don't want to see somebody who's got like 30 starts and 1 win, right? Same thing with the N2. You want a fresh face. You want a horse that looks like it is going to come in lightly raised. It has got some potential here. So I think the 7's going to get the pace set up here. You get Luis Saez aboard. I know he was aboard last time as well, but Eddie Keneally sees fit to have him try again. Eddie's not having a great meet, so that might be another reason to be against. But not the only horse I'm using. The 6, Sunny Isle Beach. One of the more, might be the heaviest raced horse in this race. Um, and I'm really looking at that last race, right? Got claimed off of David Vance, gets put into a 7 furlong sprint, and without a ton of pace in front of him. I mean, 23 and 1, 46 and 2 is fast, but it's not impossible. It's not a complete melt. Brisnet actually shows this as not playing that fast either, with the -6, -5, 1 first call, second call numbers here. Jack Gilligan stayed just off the leader and went ahead and closed and kicked away pretty convincingly. And that's kind of, like I said, what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a horse with a good late kick. And if you kind of go back through, I mean, the horse has got 2 wins at Churchill. It's got 2 seconds and it's got 3/3. So I think this horse is accomplished a little bit, right? And I think that this horse is going to fit in well. 5-1 here for the 6, I think, is a fair price. The back speed figures all fit in here. So once again, this is kind of the pace play for me. And then lastly, my B horse in this race is the 1, Customer Driven. And this was kind of more. Sometimes you look
That's a funny
at the
looking bee
form.
for those of us that are watching the YouTube
So
broadcast.
okay, yeah. Well, I eventually I made him when I was constructing my ticket, I made him a B. So let's cross out this A. I didn't want to go 3 wide in the race and look like a jackass, so I'm using him as a B here. But if you look at on Brisnet, this horse is very, very fast on Brisnet. That last out at Churchill and the maiden breaker at Tampa, both of those come with a 90 Brisnet figure, and those stack up extremely well in this field. You get Tyler Gaffleone aboard, who, as usual, is having a pretty good Churchill meet. And I feel like this is a kind of a versatile horse. If you look at the last 2 races, this horse was either just off the lead or was coming from far back. So this horse has got both those styles, and I think if the pace does get very, very fast in front of him, Tyler can kind of work out a trip, save a bunch of ground, and I think that might have the closing kick that I'm looking for here to win. So I like him a little bit less than the 7. I probably like the 1 about as much as I like the 8. I just think the price is gonna be better on the 8. I think Tyler by himself is gonna get bet down a little bit here. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the off the pace horses in this race, and I think that's the 1, the 7, and the 8 in this leg.
We are combined to go 5 deep in what I believe is a field of 7. It is, without any horses in common. We didn't plan that. That's just the way we saw the race. It's always fun when that happens. Personally, I just think Casa de Goat is the class of this field. And if any other horse is able to step up and beat that one, it's going to be the horse for course angle with the 4 at a little bit of a price. But I get where you're going at the very least with Braganza. With Sunny Isle Beach, the class hike is a major, major concern for me. That and the horse coming back in 10 days, it screams to me of them trying to hustle some entries in this particular race. So we'll see what happens there. Personally, I just think Casa de Goat is a heck of a prospect moving forward. And if she's back to what we saw in the debut, look out.
Well, I don't know, Andrew, if you've heard my saying before,
What saying is this?
but that's class doesn't matter, baby. I don't think I was
I
really
wish
air
I
horn
could
worthy,
hear it
but
over the blaring of the sirens,
yeah,
but
class doesn't matter. Let's move on.
all right. Race number 10.
Race 10. We're going to mile 16th here for a $92,000 maiden, 2-year-olds. So we got late 2-year-old racing here, and let's take a look here. We landed on 2. Unlike the last race, we do have 2 horses in common. You got 1 that's a little bit different here. I took the first 2 races. Andrew, who did you like most in this race?
Sure. So I am 3 deep in this race without the morning line favorite, and that's the first one I want to talk about. Number 9, Wrecker Point, ran fairly well going the mile in the first 2 starts. They stretched this horse out to a 2-turn mile and a 16th last time, and it looked like this horse wanted no part of that at all whatsoever. It's not like they were going all that fast up front. It looked like when they hit the far turn, this horse said, "Wait, I'm not done yet." Given the pedigree, I just think this is a 1-turn horse. So 3-1 on the morning line is a little bit too short for me. I'm going to try to beat that one with a trio of runners. And my top pick is 10-1 on the morning line. So hopefully that gets somebody's attention out there. The one I like on top is number 7, Hunter's Drive, who will likely do something for the very first time in the 10th and final on Wednesday, and that is race over a fast dirt track. They tried this horse on turf 2 times over the summer. Given the pedigree by Oscar performance out of an Arch mare, yeah, you can't fault him for that. This horse was just sort of one paced against some pretty rich maiden fields. They put this horse on dirt, gets a sloppy track, doesn't break all that well. Look at the work tab and this horse's times over a fast dirt track over at Keeneland, specifically the October 22nd, October 15th, and October 8th works. They're all very good. I think it's entirely possible that Hunter's Drive just wants a fast dirt track that he's likely to get on Wednesday afternoon. Keith DeSormo's runners usually need some seasoning in order to get going. We saw a little bit of a move forward on speed figures last time out, despite that rough break. I think there's overlay potential with this one. Mitchell Murrill is riding as well as anybody in the colony right now. I've got him at 8 for 17 as far as top twos on the meet to this point. 10 to 1. Yes, please. Give me Hunter's Drive there. And I will also use two horses coming out of the same race on November 3rd. That's number 4, 8 Straight, and number 6, Winner's Lion. Both third time starters. 8 Straight took a step forward for Ken McPeak, another guy for whom first time starters generally need some seasoning. Winner's Lion for Joe Sharp. He's sort of the same deal. He runs his horses, they get better and better. And with Winner's Lion in particular, I like blinkers coming on after this one showed some early interest last time out. To me, that means all systems are probably go. And there's that Saez guy again. For me, it's 4, 6, and 7, trying to beat the 9 record point. And I will almost certainly have some win money on the 7 at or near that 10 to 1 morning line price.
Bet Mitch, get rich.
Hi, Coots.
I'm not on the 7, unfortunately, in this spot. I landed on the other two horses that you like, the 4 and the 6 out of that common race. I'll talk a little bit here about the 4. Um, Kenny McPeak, second time route race, is winning at a 19% clip here. I agree with you. I think Kenny's usually a guy who I like to see a race or two with the horse first. Keeps Corrales aboard, and Corrales is riding really well as per usual here in Kentucky. So yeah, I think this is just an improving horse. I think this horse is going to is gonna like the going to 2 turns. I don't with his run style. Looks like wants to come from slightly off the pace. Did have a slight little Z pattern last time out. Shout out to Caleb. So I'm interested here in this 4 horse. Probably my top pick in this spot. I also use the 6. And the thing about the 6 is you got an early speed horse that's getting an aggressive jock that's getting blinkers put on. I mean, this is what you want to see, right? When you got a horse that's showing early speed, and you want that horse to use that speed. Similar to the 4, this horse is improved in both of his first 2 starts. No offense to Tyler Gaffleone, but if I had a speed horse, there are a few people I would rather have over Luis Saez aboard. So I actually don't know. I mean, maybe Kendrick if I knew that the horse just needed to get out of the gate as fast as possible, but uh,
Paco.
Paco, especially if I needed him to run over
Yes,
another
it
horse as
depends on
well.
the stewards for sure.
Yeah.
And but yeah,
But
we can say that without getting into too much trouble. Let's just call that what it is.
I mean, he's aggressive. I mean, he's blindly aggressive. He's kind of
The word you're looking for is reckless.
reckless. That's why I
If
don't own
you don't
horses.
believe me, ask Irad Ortiz's right hand.
But yeah, I just see both these 2 horses as improving types. Um, and I think that you got 2 trainers who bring their horses along. Not super, but usually need a race or 2 here. So I think just with the 4 and the 6 here, I'm gonna get out of this leg. Um, and Yeah, I really like I this was a type of race that maybe I would look for like a first time starter in, but there aren't any and you take I'm still looking for that a lightly raced horse, one or two starts, and that's shown some improvement or has got room to improve. I think that both the 4 and the 6 kind of fit that bill there.
The horse that scares me in that particular race is actually Perfect Upstart. I happen to think Perfect Upstart got a perfect setup last time when the race sort of fell apart, but does have some two-turn pedigree. Would not be a shock, especially if another horse goes with Winner's Lion out of the gate. That was probably the last horse I threw out. Again, if Record Point runs back to the 2 mile races, maybe that one has a shot. I just think that one is a very vulnerable favorite and a horse that you should try to beat if you're playing the late pick 4, the late pick 5, any of those wagers.
Yep, and Andrew, looks like you got a $24 ticket here. 1-6 with 1-2-8-9 with 4 with 4-6-7 here. It's $24 for a 50-cent bet. As I've kind of said before, the way I bet this is I usually bet at least one normal ticket, like one spread ticket, and then I press my opinions. I might add a third press with the 9 in the second leg, or pressing the 2 in the second leg. So I got my 1-1-3 with 3 being a B, with 2-9, with 1-6-7 with the 1 being a B, with 4-6. And like I said, I'm not a Steve Chris disciple, right? I'm not doing the whole ABC method here. I'm playing a caveman ticket with all of these horses. So if you want to play along with me and you want to play the 2x2x3x2 caveman, I will have that ticket. I just will also have other tickets that are going to be narrower to kind of press my stronger opinions, which are the 1 in the first leg and the 6 and the 7 in the third leg, and probably even the 2 in the second leg.
You can't fault the logic there. It's just, I can't get over the fact that in the third leg, there are 7 horses. We have 5 of them, and we have nothing in common.
Yep. Congratulations to the 2 horses we don't have covered, as they will dead heat for first.
Yes, so hammer the exact box there just to be safe, just in case one of them decides to screw up the script and win by a head or something like that.
Yep. So yeah, so this weekend I'll be in Vegas. On I probably will play the horses pretty heavily on Sunday. My wife is coming with us, and I'm meeting one of our Discord people out there. One of my buddies, Gary. So he's going to be out there with me. And my wife is coming Thursday, Friday, and leave night, and then I'm still there all day Sunday and Monday morning. So Sunday, Gary and I are probably going to be playing the horses all day. So that should be a fun time. Um, Andrew, what do you got on this weekend?
Let me see. So Saturday, I am taking my girlfriend to a dentist appointment. They've got to do something there. So on the off chance they tell her she can't drive, I am here to save the day. Sunday, we're headed out to lunch with one of our friends. So nice, quiet, low key weekend. Considering that last weekend we covered a lot of ground. We wound up going to Monterey in one direction, and then on Sunday we went up to Santa Rosa to go to the Charles Schultz Museum, of course, known as the cartoonist behind Peanuts. If you've never been and you're a Peanuts fan, make the trip. It is absolutely fantastic. There is so much joy in that building. It's great. It's wonderful.
Awesome. Yeah. And sorry about Prop 26 and 27. Is that what it was?
And it was expected, as those of you who have followed me know. I was covering the sports betting race out in California. Wasn't much of a race. Prop 26 failed about 30 to 70. Prop 27 failed with less than 20% of the vote. Try to imagine an initiative getting less than 20% of the vote. Nowadays, it's hard. But it's back to the drawing board, and judging by the tone that is coming out of some meetings, the tribes have all of the leverage, and it's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out moving forward as far as sports betting goes in California. Legal sports betting. By the way, kids, don't do what Yasiel Puig did. Be honest with the feds if you're involved in an illegal sports betting ring. Don't lie. They're going to catch you.
Oh man, Yasiel Puig. That's a name I hadn't heard in a long time.
Here's a fun story to end things with. I was at Dodger Stadium the night the Trout versus Puig debate officially died. So, a couple of years ago, was down in LA. This was after Yasiel Puig had that gigantic rookie season. This was year 2 or year 3. They're playing the Angels in what they call the Freeway Series at Dodger Stadium. Someone from the Angels hits a deep fly ball into center field. Puig gets it, lollygags, and takes his time getting it back into the infield. Albert Pujols is on first base, and he tags and takes the extra base. I was next to a bunch of Dodger fans in that section, and I looked around and go, would Mike Trout have been caught dead doing that? They got pretty quiet pretty quickly. That was the end of the Trout versus Puig debate. It was a fun 5 minutes, but come on.
Yeah, he was kind of a real flash in the pan, wasn't he? He had like maybe one good season and then just kind of.
He had a couple of good seasons, but he wound up going to the Reds and then the Indians, now the Guardians, in 2019. And that was when his sports betting troubles wound up happening. I wrote this up for playca.com. You can take a look at that if you're not familiar with the story. That was a flying start to today for sure. You never expect to wake up and write a story like that about
Yeah.
somebody that for about 5 minutes was on top of the world. But kids, be honest with the feds if they come knocking at your door.
Well, that's going to do it for us here on Drink and Champagne. If you guys watch our live streams, we are going to be off for the next 2 weeks. This week I'm out of town and Caleb's out of town, and next week obviously is Thanksgiving. So we'll be off, and then for Thanksgiving I am going to one of the Hawthorne OTBs and playing in one of the tournaments out there, meeting up with my buddy Sheldon. Our old co-host Brian is going to be there as well.
There's
So
a
should be a good
Brian
time.
sighting?
There's a Brian sighting. Apparently he's back in.
Wow.
He got
Wow.
pulled back in. Yeah, I know. Shout out to Mr. Backclass, aka BD Horse Player. Yeah, so it should be a fun time. And then yeah, we'll figure something out maybe for next week. We'll see what the schedules look like. I'm back in town Monday night, so yeah, we'll try and get something recorded. We'll figure it out. But yeah, fingers crossed. Exactly, Andrew. But yeah, for Andrew, I am Josh. Check us out at wrong_lead. Buy a t-shirt like Andrew's wearing on thewronglead.com. And we will catch you guys later.